Ja, nu är vi inne i Goldfield Hotel här i Goldfield och
Ja.
det blir en speciell rundvandring här, för det är ju så här innan utredning. Så det är mörkt. Vi har inte börjat utreda ännu. Utredningen finns ju som vanligt på kanalen att titta på. Ni vet vad som hänt under kvällen. Jag är fortfarande andfådd för det är trappor. Ingen hiss. Nej. Så att man måste gå hela vägen upp här. Men det är lite speciellt nu. Vi har ju inte tidigare haft med någon som berättar om historiken och som tar en rundvandring med oss här nu. Men nu har vi faktiskt med en person bakom här som heter Heather som ska guida oss. Så ni får hänga med på hela den här turen. Och hörni, Lenny, du kan ju säga vad som precis hände.
Alltså för 20 sekunder sedan. Jag trodde att jag fastnade i någonting i väggen här. Men alltså jag kände en beröring på axeln. Alltså jättetydlig beröring.
Börjar bra. Jag får se om det här är en bra hotspot senare ikväll också.
Verkligen.
Utredningen finns på kanalen att titta på. Som sagt, det kan ni titta på när som helst.
Ja.
Nu kan jag gå över till engelska helt nu, för nu ska vi få en liten tur här.
Japp.
Okej.
Okay, so we're going to do the rest in English now?
Yeah, English only.
Right.
So
okay.
Thanks so much for having us here.
Oh yeah, no, thank you. This is fun to me. I think this is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good to have you guys come over this far to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
So you want to be on the top now?
We are now on the top floor, the 5th floor. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a walk around because this building is really big. So it's 180 feet by 100 feet. And it goes in a U shape, and originally had over 100 rooms that were meant to be rented out for customers or for visitors and that. It was built to be a very high-end facility or high-end hotel. It was very fancy. They had their own hot and cold running water in their rooms. They had their own restrooms, which back then when they were building it in 1907, 1908, they had, most places put a restroom at one end of the hallway for everybody to share and things like that. You didn't have water. And today, if I checked into a nice hotel and there wasn't hot and cold running water and I had to share a bathroom, I'd be mad. But I think probably everybody would though. But so they had also their own phones in the room, which was very fancy for then as well. They built this in 1908. Prior to this, there was 2 Goldfield hotels just right down this road here, and they had burned to the ground. Both have burned to the ground. So they built this one intending to make it fireproof. Oh. So it's built out of brick and rock and iron and things like that. So it is a very substantial building, to say the least. It's big, and there's a lot in here. Yeah. When we start off though, the man that purchased the building in 2003, he waited a few years and then he started by putting a roof on it. And you can see up here on this floor, some of the damage from like the water that came in and things like that. And so he started working on the ceiling or the roof first, and then he started at the basement working their way up. And this floor has had the least amount of work done to it. That's why it looks a little bit more disheveled, I guess you would say.
And like, what's the plan for this building right now?
So the man that purchased it in 2003, his goal was to at least stay in one finished and functional room before he passed. Unfortunately, he did not succeed at that. So he has passed away. It is now in the care of his son, and it is for sale.
Okay.
So, and I don't know, I'm not the realtor and I'm not the owner, so I don't discuss the money. No. You know.
Okay. Yeah. So, do you want to walk us through up here?
Yeah, we're going to start by walking through up here. We'll go ahead and go down this way first.
I love this corridor. Like, you know, long. This is like for a paranormal investigator.
This is crazy.
This is crazy.
Oh my God.
You know, something just peeking out from the rooms, or and if you have like something that you want to stop and talk about.
I will tell you as all that I can anyway.
What?
So then we'll go down here.
Wow.
So everybody who's had possession of this building, whether they were the owners or whether they were the builders or people working on the building in general or whatever, have rearranged the room layouts. So all of these rooms have been redone in that sense. But specifically the man in the 1980s, there was a man in the 1980s who was going to fix it up, reopen it, and it was going to be fantastic again. He had a crew in here that was working. They finally said, look, we're not going back. We're done. we're not doing that anymore. We can't go there anymore. So they left. He had another crew in here working. Everything seemed to be going well up until the point when somebody forgot something one day and he says, oh, hey, let me run back in, grab that. And when he ran back in, he came running right back out and he said, I'm not going back in there. There was a full bar with smoke and music and people and he said, I'm never going back in that building again. And his crew said, yeah, we agree. And they didn't come back anymore either. The man in the 80s, his company ended up bankrupt and they did not get to finish any of the work that they had started. A lot of the stuff that you see as we walk around, stuff like those plastic tub inserts like that, they're around in many of the rooms. Those are all from the 80s. So they're not new by far, but they're also not that old, you know. And same with like this door here. This door was sealed off and then just a little bit, put a door here. There's many doors like that that are sealed off and then he put another door there. I think you could have saved time and money by not closing that one and maybe using it instead. But also outside, when you look outside from here, my flashlight's not very good, but from up here you can see down there's the cinder block or the gray block. And the gray block, like down here, looks like they were building this cooler for a restaurant or something. Then you see some gray block over here, and that is the elevator shaft that he put in. That elevator doesn't work either. Both elevators do not work. They don't work at all. Anytime you see that gray block, that is from the 1980s. Okay. So when we walk around, you'll see some more of that, but all from the 80s. And him not being successful, unfortunately. Then there's this building out here. This was going to be a utility building. So it was going to have a boiler room, and it was going to have, you know, things like that. And obviously he was going to run a hallway from each floor over to this hallway over here at the building. And I'm assuming probably would have had like the maid services or something like that in that building too. I just said my flashlights are a mess this time, and I feel like
I think someone is here because I have like in my alltså luvan. Alltså det, ja, alltså det drar luvan, någonting i kameran så här.
But Lenny, I'm going to take this here. Rörde du mig när jag stod där?
Nej, jag såg också att du reagerade då.
Shit.
Ja.
So I thought that Lenny just touched my shoulder when I talked to you.
Yeah, I saw you
and I found that you want to move. That I want to move.
No.
Oh, I got the chills.
I saw he didn't touch you. When you looked, I thought maybe you just got the feeling that he was right there.
Och jag känner i luvan också. Alltså det är så sjukt.
Look, goosebumps.
Well, if that's all that gives you goosebumps, it'll get better.
Jag var 100 på att
ja, jag såg ju att du reagerade. Men jag vill inte säga någonting för man pratar hela tiden.
It's funny because now you give me goosebumps kind of. Yeah, baby.
Is that like common here that you get those?
Oh,
that's physical.
That's nothing. That's nothing compared to. I'll tell you some more when we get going here.
And who do you think are doing these things on this floor?
Well, being as how he had it right away, it could be a number of the spirits that live here. I don't know. I've had people have a scary. When they got touched like that, they turned. I had one guy turn and he got touched where you were standing.
Yeah.
And he turned and he said whatever was standing right there that he caught a glimpse of was super scary. He had said it wasn't human, it was scary.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's pulling.
Jag kände luvan hela tiden där inne, vet du.
Gjorde det?
Ja, och jag såg när du reagerade också.
Alltså jag var 100 på att det var du som att du skulle flytta på mig. Oh, sorry, we're talking in Swedish.
That's okay.
So,
no, you're fine.
You know, that's like you don't get that so often.
Yeah, well, you will get a lot of that here. So this down here, what is on the floor right there?
Plastic, no?
Yeah, some kind of bag.
We have to remember that room, Lenny.
Which one?
That room.
Ja.
Well, this hallway here is the one I called it. I heard that too.
Yeah.
Did you hear that? You hear that sound back there?
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. So this hallway I call the cowboy shootout hallway. So there were two cowboys and they had a disagreement earlier in the day. They were playing cards and they disagreed on who was playing fair. And so the gunslingers, who we call the guy, There is something over there though.
Oh my god, det är ryggen igen här. Oh my god.
Maybe it's him then. He might be best.
Oh my god, det där var det sjukaste jag känt någon gång.
Yeah.
Nej, alltså det där var det sjukaste jag känt någon gång.
Var det så?
Oh my god.
So
Someone like pointing me in the back.
What?
Oh my god.
maybe you were stepping too far in the room for him. Maybe
Like
he
Nej,
was
alltså jag börjar
fingers
gråta.
in the
Ja,
back.
alltså nej, jag börjar gråta snart. Oh my god.
So the Cowboys had a disagreement and they settled it up by shooting each other up here.
Oh.
And I think they were both killed. But the gunslinger is the one that stays and he lives here. He hangs out. He often will look around this corner or one of these corners here to see if somebody's going to shoot at him. But so I had some investigators up here one time and they had stopped at the store and bought some little cap guns, just some little play guns, you know, and they were going to have a shootout up here. And so they were shooting at each other and the voice box they had said fake. And then when it said, then they said, well, if they're fake, what do we do with them? And they said, give them to her. Give them to Heather? Yeah.
Wow.
Something keeps messing with me over here too. I don't know what's back here, but it's something, it's probably my gunslinger. Him and I have, we have a new relationship now because it was a little over a year ago, maybe a year and a half now. And I was with some people that were doing an investigation and we got back here and I stopped breathing. He was choking me.
Oh my god.
He choked me. So when he's only allowed to touch. We tell, if you want to touch, that's fine, but you cannot hurt people because I stopped breathing and I stopped here against the wall, put my butt against the wall pretty much. And the guy with me, he says, are you okay? And I couldn't say words. I couldn't speak. I couldn't anything. And finally, when I did, I said, no, get away from me. You're not allowed to touch me. Get your hands off of me. Do not do this. But I'm not the only one he's ever done that to. So, but here recently, a friend of mine was telling me, because he grew up here in this town, and he was telling me that they used to break in here back then, and they would play hide and seek in here and scare each other, you know. And he would come up here, and he said he was in this hallway here, and a woman came walking down the hallway in a red dress with a candle in her hand. And she didn't pay any attention to him. She just kept going. Wow. And then the next time he came, she walked into him. She ran through him. And ever since then, he says when he drives by sometimes, he'll see a woman standing up here in one of the windows with a candle. And I have never seen her. I hope you do. I hope you get to see her. But I have never seen her. Yeah. I've heard a woman's voice up here. But I've never seen her. I'd love to get to see her, but I used to say those things about some of the gunslinger stuff too, and then I was real sorry when he showed up. Yeah. But so we can walk down this way.
This gives me chills.
There's something about you they like.
Oh, wow.
Oh my god.
So again, we have cinder block or the gray block.
Oh, this is a new thing.
This is from the 80s.
80s, yeah.
And this is a back stairwell. So the man was going to put the stairwell in, but it ends in the middle of the window. So I don't know if that was like, hey, you owe me some money, come help me, and whoop, out the window you go. Or if it's because the fire escapes are outside and you could climb down, still use them. Or maybe he was going to seal them off and we would have never known they were there. But I thought that moved. Must have been the light. So we'll go down these back stairs because they're kind of weird.
Okay. So now we have
no handrail. Just be careful.
Yeah. So this is the top floor that we have.
Yeah.
This
Now we're going down to now we're going. They call this the 4th floor. This will be the 3rd floor that we're going down to.
Okay.
Gud, jag känner mig jagad.
Okay.
Oh my
so it feels like somebody walking behind him now, but
yeah. Oh, they probably are.
Oh, they probably are.
Do. Yeah. So I had a group. I had met at the bar across the street one night after I had done a tour, and they were drinking, and there was like 15 of them, and they were drinking and talking and blah 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 blah. And so we did the same trip like you and I just did, and we came down that and then down these stairs. Of course, they're drinking and blah 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 blah, you know. And me and this other guy, he was standing here and I was standing here. We're waiting for them to come down the stairs, and right behind my head, right in the middle of this door, was. And so the drunk guy, he goes, oh, did you hear that? And I don't know why, you know, drunk people, he goes, oh, and he cheered. So when you come in here, you can't see that there's a door there.
Oh.
So you can't, it's marked like somebody was marking it, but it's sealed off. You can't see them. So you would have to have known that that door was there, right there, because you could knock anywhere on the wall then. Yeah. But you wouldn't know I was standing right there, and you wouldn't know that the door had been there. But it was right in the middle. It was funny, and because he starts screaming, he's like, oh my God! Yeah. But and of course his drunk friend, he's like, listen to me, listen to me, and his drunk friends didn't listen, you know. So in the 1980s, for whatever reason, the guys that were in here working seem to have written things on the walls randomly, mostly on this floor. Okay. So when we come along here, we see Roger Mummy, 222 of 88. He likes to sign doors. Quite a few doors or sealed off, I should say sealed off doors have his autograph. I don't know why. Then we got Bill the Cat. Wow. Then we have, remember Robo Warrior, No Mercy. Huh. And then we get to the weird quotes. To be afraid of somebody is to be meek. To be meek is to be a nobody. To be a nobody is to not exist. That's a Houdini quote. Yeah. And is kind of like The Shining in my opinion. Yeah. Like, Red Rum Robo Warrior. You know? Yeah. Kind of reminds me of The Shining. And then you come down here, and this is just a moment in your life, and so is Robo. So be your own Robo and be a warrior. Huh. And then in the same pen, don't ever let somebody hold your job over your head. You don't need it, Robo Warrior. The stranger part about those 3 quotes is this quote. In another handwriting, this is blue dress with tiny flowers. Nobody would have been here with a blue dress in the 80s. No. That makes no sense to be, so who did they see that had a blue dress on? Yeah. Why did it have, you know? Wow. So it's very weird. This is the floor they're doing the most work on currently. That and they've been working on the basement because there's been some issues in the basement. Yeah. But so you can see some of this stuff. Unfortunately, they have it kind of put away, but just be careful. Egyptian kayak, another thing, and spelled wrong. Yeah. But, but of my favorite things is the phone lines that are here. These are the telephone lines that would have gone to all of the rooms, and you can see the handwritten room numbers back there, which is pretty awesome. We're so mobile and wireless today that I think it's super neat to see. Wow. And I like it. Cool. There are certain rooms like this that are kind of just blocked off like that or whatever. Yeah. We can go ahead and go down these stairs here. Yeah. You can see how this building can be confusing though. Yeah. It's the stairwells of a different place, and it gets you turned around very. Oh, I heard something. Something like something just on the floor or something. So these stairs are really noisy. Even when you walk quiet, like we're walking pretty quiet now, they can hear the stairwell all down all over the building. Like you can hear people coming up and down the stairs a lot. Yeah. This area in here was a social area where you could visit. And you could go out onto the balcony out here. So both floors, this floor and the floor above us had a balcony that you could go out on. You can't go out there anymore, obviously. No. This was a good place for public announcements or for campaign speeches if they were running for office. Oh, and this says lost, because I put on my app that says lost. It said lost when I said confusing around here, and then it said lost. So the gunslinger likes that. He thinks that's funny, and he knows his way all over the place. And if you are feeling a little lost, he's laughing, and he likes that. So then he will mess with you. He will be sometimes not nice to you, you know. So the gunslinger, that's one person, do you think? That's one person. Yeah. So one spirit. Yeah, one of the many spirits. So there is some others that are throughout the building and everywhere, and there's only one that really can't go past where she is, and we'll get to her later. Yeah. But so most of them cruise wherever they want to go, they go, and they. But he really thinks it's funny when you get lost. But he tends to also follow me around. So like once we got up there, he might follow me or follow us around, like you said. It feels like somebody's following us. Yeah. It very well could be. He likes to follow me. I told him if he was, you know, if he was going to be mean to people, if there's bad people outside, be mean to them, not to me and not to my friends, that my guests that come in here. We'll see. Hopefully he won't be mean to you. Wow. So far we're gonna knock on wood. That he has been pretty nice to most everybody. He just does like little things like touching and scaring, you know. But as long as he doesn't hurt people, we're okay.
Yeah.
So I want to point out one thing to you though, and that is there's no interior doors in this building. You notice there's no doors on any of the rooms, but I have had doors creaking, open and closed, and things like that. So this, all over the place, it sounded like it was either on the second or third floor, and I was on the main floor when it would creak. It was blatantly a door, and more than once it happened.
Wow.
So maybe you will get to have some of that fun.
I hope so.
Yeah. So we'll go down here.
We're on the main floor.
Yeah. Did you know that's where we were?
No.
You won't understand, it says.
Okay.
See, because you didn't know where you were. So look at how low this handrail is. Don't fall over it. Because if you fell down the stairs and hit me, I'd fall right over.
Yeah.
I believe that there was a girl that was a prostitute, and she had a struggle with a man, and she ended up falling over that handrail and broke her neck and died back then. So sometimes she walks up and down here, sometimes she's scared, and she puts off that scared energy. So like you feel like it's scary up there to go up those stairs sometimes because she's scared. The energy of her scaredness is in there, and it's kind of crazy. So when you came to the Goldfield back in its glory and in its grandeur, you probably do like we do today, probably check in, take your things upstairs. Are you hungry? Yeah, let's go out to eat. Okay, so let's go downstairs. And so you'd come downstairs and you come eat. And men were expected to go to the saloon and hang out with other men and socialize with men for a little while, in bros club type thing. Yeah. Proper women were not allowed in a saloon. So we would have had to enter down here.
Jag ser här, det ska starta igång. När ni går upp på högst upp där sen, alltså vi har tre beröringar där uppe.
Alltså jättetydligt.
Innan ryggen står bara. Så jag känner någon bara så här. Och jag trodde det var läge som satt i sista gången. Jag kollade och ingen där. I heard a story about room 109.
We'll talk about that here in a few.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it on some of the levels up there, or is it just...
Oh, it'll be down here. So yeah, we'll talk about that in here a little bit.
Okay.
So as a woman, I would have had to enter down this hallway. So.
Okay, so this was just for the female.
Yes, so this is how, because we couldn't go to a bar, we couldn't go to a saloon. And then if I wanted a drink, I'd had to knock on this window. And then the bartender would ask when he had a moment. But if my husband said, she doesn't need to drink for her dinner, she doesn't need a drink, I didn't get one. I would not have lived. I would not have lived. I would have been the woman in pants and boots over there on that side going, I don't care. Yeah, but you're going to give me a drink. This is called the grill. This is the main dining area. If you look over here, it says grill in the tile. And that's what they always called it. So they would say that they brought in, chefs from around the world. They mostly mean Europe, because it was mostly German and English and people of European that were over here mining. So they would bring in chefs that knew how to cook the foods that you like to have and the way you like to have them. And so they weren't around the world per se, but they were around the world to them.
Yeah.
So these are the only doors inside the entire inside building, and they do work. We just don't try not to let people go in and out. That's that stairwell that we came down in the back.
Okay, that's
and it goes to the basement also over here.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't like that stairwell. So over here is these parts that are laying under the window are part of the gentleman's saloon. And so this would have been in the gentleman's saloon. Over here is the top of the bar that would have been in the saloon for the men. And then in here is the saloon that the men would have been in. And I like the little fire hose that's connected. That's how they had those on all the floors on each end of the hallway, so that if you had a fire, you could put out the fire, even though it was fireproof. Watch out! Watch out for these drains. If you step in there, you twist an ankle. Yeah. This is the top of the bar, so this would have come across the top. The bar top would have been here, and then the side pieces would have been. So these are all lions, and they would have had a light bulb in their mouth. So that would have been kind of cool and kind of creepy. Yeah. Because you think about those old yellow lights, and then those lights. I always go, that's really creepy. I think it's be cool, but it's not very cool, really. I think it's creepy. This used to be a stairwell to the basement.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, you can see why it's easily confusing.
Yeah.
Not to mention it's easily, it's just a lot to absorb. So this is the man in the 1980s. He was putting up the sign because the hotel opened in January of 1908, and then he was going to open in 1988.
Oh, wow.
But he was not successful, obviously.
No.
So this area was a bar where the ladies of the evening could socialize with gentlemen. So you could, a man could find a date here.
Okay.
For the evening. So the girls would be in here socializing with gentlemen, and then down here is the hallway where the ladies were at. Okay. This is one of my least favorite places in the entire universe.
Okay.
Is in here. I hope that they kept you in here too. So as we come in here, this is the famous 109 room. It's also considered to be the Elizabeth room. So
905?
109.
109.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. 109. So Elizabeth was a girl that worked in this hallway, and that was very beautiful, pretty young. We believe she was probably between 16 to 19 years old, but back then that was pretty common. She was a girl who was very sought after in a sense. But so George Wingfield was one of the owners of the hotel, and George Wingfield was a multimillionaire before the age of 30. He was I read somewhere he was like worth 50 million or something by 30 years old. So yeah, so he's just poor boy. But so he was one of the owners here and one of the owners at the Mizpah and Tonopah. But so he was kind of enamored with Miss Elizabeth. He felt that this was his hotel, this was his girl, and he kind of wanted her for his own. She ended up being pregnant. When he found out she was pregnant, he was furious, and he said she was to be changed to the radiator heater that was located here. She was to stay chained to this radiator heater until she gave birth to the baby. When the baby was born, they took it and they threw it down a mine shaft, or else under the stairwell. We don't know for sure. And then she died. She bled to death within 3 days, and they probably did the same with her, is just threw her away.
Oh, so she died in this room?
Yes, she died here. Now, anybody who's done any investigating here, including myself, have sat and tried to communicate with her, and you don't really get to talk to her because there is something that is stopping it. It is a male person, and he's a dark, shadowy figure, and he darts out here in the hallway, and he speaks for her, and he pretends to be her sometimes. He pretends that he pretends to answer the questions you ask, and acts like it's her, but it's not. And then you catch up, and then you'll find, and then he'll stop answering things, and then you're like, is this somebody who's been answering for her? And yeah, when you look at the wall here, you'll see some of the old wallpaper up here. Yeah. That's pink flowery wallpaper, which is common decor in a brothel or in a that type of area or business, I guess you could say, to have red light district, pink flowers, kind of girly but kind of not, and I'm sure it was probably a darker pink at one point. So but this was the wallpaper when she was a girl that lived in here and worked in here and things like that.
Do you think
det skulle vi haft en bit till museet? Oh my god.
Like, do you think that this entity, or is that the guy George?
I don't think so. No, I think the guy that walks back and forth and all around out here, he darts in and out, like he goes in and out, and but he, I think, is like the watchman or the guard or the security maybe, or something. So he He's make sure you don't get to see her or talk to her because you might help her. Yeah. And you can't help her. She's not allowed to have help or talk to. I'm sure that she was malnutrition, and so was the baby. I'm sure the baby was probably premature. I'm sure they were both in very poor health by the time that they got done with. Yeah. So there is something that likes the lights that's down here. I have a feeling that this was an area for punishment when you were bad, especially if you were one of the working girls. I think this was somewhere they stuck you when you were bad, or didn't do what you were supposed to correctly, or whatever. Because I've had it something say through my app and stuff, lights, and so like they like the lights. So maybe you will get something from them. It's hard to say, but they can't come out for some reason, and I think they're stuck under there. Okay. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, I know I sound like a crazy woman when I say these things and these stories, but it's true. I mean, I've had it happen. All of this is real things that have happened to me that I've experienced, you know, and it's not pretend. It's not pretend at all. And so anybody you can say what you want, but it's not pretend.
When you know, when you're experiencing it.
And I didn't think it was as strong as it was until I started working here and doing tours here. Oh. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that I believed that somebody could choke you like that, like they did. And I didn't know if I believed that, I knew they could reach out to you or touch you or communicate, but to stop me from breathing is another story. Yeah. These are just weird, creepy rooms. Wow. But quite often I come in here and I put when I do tours and stuff, I stop and I like my back to be here. I don't like my back over there. I don't feel good over there. But quite often when you stop in here, you'll hear footsteps up here. And one is a footstep that sounds like cowboy boots. Oh. It sounds like, and that is what I think is probably George, is the cowboy boot sound. Sometimes you'll smell a cigar. Mm-hmm. That's probably George. Okay. See?
Wow. Oh my God.
Sometimes you smell perfume.
We heard that.
Yeah.
And we know that there's nothing up there. We're just up on that floor.
Wow. And do you know what room is straight up? Is this on the room?
Yeah, it was this wing.
The wing. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome.
And that was just like
that's just like a little
one. But and then sometimes I hear somebody, they sound like they're pacing over here, like they're worried, like they're
back and forth.
Yeah, and it sounds like they're pacing over here. But this one just sounds like footsteps, just walking along.
Wow. A good start.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have fun tonight. One night I came in and nobody had been in here, but these were swinging. These were just swinging. I don't know. I don't know why. There's no air and there's no breeze in here. There's no. Even if you leave the front door open, there's no breeze in here.
Such a cool place. And I love the history also. Like I could just imagine when it was active, all the people walking in.
Somebody's had there, but I don't know who's that. Maybe that's not one of yours, is it?
No.
Okay.
One hat.
Yeah. I saw that one guy who said, but this is a cool old safe there. This goes into the kitchen here. So one night we had what sounded like footsteps walking around up here in this above the kitchen area, like they were above the floor above, Yeah. So sometimes there's activity in this kitchen. I sometimes have picked up what seems like a Chinese person, because they enslaved the Chinese people, and in 1908 they still enslaved Chinese people in this building and forced them to live under this stairwell, and they weren't allowed to be seen by other people, other than, they weren't allowed to be seen by white people for sure. They weren't allowed to be seen by customers of any kind. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I've seen an image on pictures of stuff that was a shorter person, and they were working in the kitchen, which was commonly where they would work because you weren't allowed to be seen in the kitchen, So, like I said, these are the only interior doors. Those go out to the dining room, obviously, because you can serve food. But there's no inside doors, just so you know. None at all. They're not even sat beside the door. There's one door that was sat aside, and I noticed when we were walking around just a little bit ago, I didn't see it sitting up there anymore. So there's no doors inside at all. There's doors to go outside, but that's it. And they are not the noises that sound like a creaky door. They're more like noisy doors, you know. This one's heavy and everything, you know. But so now we can go to the basement. I don't know who wants to, if anybody else wanted to go to the basement, because I was gonna show you where not to go, basically. So we'll go down there. All right, we'll go down there. I'll talk some more in a minute about things, but
jag känner fortfarande förföljd.
It feels like somebody's following him, so
it's probably watch the bump. There's a little rise in the trumpet, and it catches me up, you know. So this is the elevator works right here. So this basement used to flood really bad anytime we got any water. Like, it was really bad. But then when Red purchased the building and he started having work done on it, they fixed up the rock walls and everything. And so it really hadn't been a lot of water coming in down here. But this summer we've had we had a hurricane, which we never have. They called it the 100-year storm. In 1923, they had a flood that washed away almost half of the town, like washed away, killed people and everything. So 2023, here we are, and we got a hurricane again, the 100-year storm. So there was water that had been coming in, and so there are places like back here that are not. Mostly I'm worried about like mold or something, you know, that I would be concerned if I haven't seen any, it hasn't been like that. I just don't want to risk that for you guys or myself. Okay. So that's how I feel about this area too. So this is the elevator works. This is the old elevator works. And you can see the elevator is permanently stuck on the top floor by that board is stuck in the wheel there. This is an Otis elevator, and said to be the first Otis elevator this side of the Mississippi, and said to run the fastest at 300 feet per minute. Under there is the stairwell where the Chinese people were forced to live, and possibly where the baby was thrown. But it only goes to that far.
Okay. So small.
And it goes down because the stairs come down, so it goes slower, lower, lower, lower as you get in there. So that's as high as it was. And then, of course, the steps over there, you see where we stepped off into this. So that's how low, you know, and that's how it does. Just like this does, it does there. This is one of the few places that I use my SLS. You know what that is, the SLS? Yeah. Do you use one?
Yeah.
You have to debunk them, kind of, because they will pick up random things and make them into people. But these guys, I have debunked that with the SLS in the fact that the way that this goes, sometimes he'll reach back for a tool and grab a tool. Sometimes he'll be like wrenching down on something. And he was killed working on the elevator. His partner was up here working, and he was severely injured. And I get both of them on the SLS, so we'll see if we can get... Are you on SLS? Please tell me you are. And SLS. Let's see if it's working. Yep, okay. All right, so we'll see if we... Usually I almost always can get them. Yep, there they come.
Do you have a name of the person? No?
And they don't want to talk. They're working. They're at work. They don't want to talk to people. But the other night I had some people doing an investigation, and they said that they captured some video of what looked like this guy getting scrunched down like he was crushed by something, and this guy, his arm was like, it looked like his arm got long, like if it was injured and
stuck in a machine,
like somebody almost tried to rip his arm off, you know. So they tried to send it to me, and then their battery died. And I said, okay, well, send it to me when you get home, and he said he would, so we'll see. But that is those guys. And like I said, this is a creepy hallway anyway. Something does live up there, and it's not human. It lives in that crawl space up there.
Up there. Wow.
And it only comes out when it's really, really dark. And then he goes where he wants, and he's not human. It's not. It's never been human. It's. I won't say the word in here because it's so.
But is there a certain smell when he arrives? Can you feel it like that?
I don't stay very long if I think that he's out.
Okay.
Because I have. Yeah, it's been bad in here before with him.
Okay.
And only one time that it was terrifying, and I won't talk anymore about it because it was that bad. It made being choked by the gunslinger like a walk in the park. It was like a breeze in the park. It was horrendous.
Bad.
But so there's certain things that I'll tell you about here in a little while that if you hear, that means you leave. Yeah, that means it's not safe anymore, and that's usually the good spirits scaring us out so that we don't stay and get hurt.
Okay.
And I have a medium. I have a couple mediums that come here, but my medium that comes here that she's fantastic, and her special skills are dead people and the dead, and she's like that means it's not safe when you hear these noises. So one of them is if it sounds like something's being dragged across the floor upstairs above you. Yeah. No more. That's a sign. That's no more.
Okay, so this thing that is in the basement can also be on the other floor.
It can go where...
And you can feel it, like something happens.
It won't come out in the daytime because if it gets a glimpse of the light, it's no good anymore.
Okay.
It's not, it's bad for it. But this is the cigar room. And no women were allowed in a cigar room. And, of course, they weren't allowed in a bar. Why would you be allowed in a cigar room? If you see the split door, that's so they could open the door and be like, what do you want? Go away. But if you were down here and as a man and we're going to have a cigar in the cigar room, you would have to have been invited by somebody of importance, like George Wingfield or somebody who was important at the hotel.
Okay.
And it smells like a humidor in here, though, kind of. You can kind of smell the old cigar and the wood almost. I'm going to show you this wall. This wall, don't touch the wall, please. It's crumbling. It's falling apart like on the top floor. But they uncovered a bunch of this old history, essentially. So this says Belmont News and Outside Mail and 9 a.m. There's the Allied Promotions Bureau from 1929. There's somebody's car with a girl driving. There's somebody's forehead, I don't know. There's random quotes like, work like Helen, be happy. The name Helen and be happy. Wow. So work like Helen, be happy. And I'm going to use that someday at work. There's little cartoons, there's newspaper clippings, there's different things that are probably from about the 20s, and one of the quote cartoons or things down here says something about you get paid on Friday and by Monday you're broke, and what do you do the rest of the week with your to get by and things like that. But it's just don't touch it because you can see where it's falling apart. We don't know what's going to happen with it. No. So like I said, since the hurricanes and the rain and stuff that we've had down here, it actually has gotten quite a bit of water down here. That's why it's wet by the elevator. That's that stairwell that goes up to the top floor all the way. So this in here, there was a owner of the hotel at one time, and he told the newspapers, he said, I'm going to open a mine in the basement of the hotel. Well, that's a lie. There was already a mine attached to this hotel right back here anyway, that you could access from the basement. It's sealed off now and you can't tell. Back then, you could access it. But why would you open a mine with all that dirt, all that dust, all that rock, when you have people upstairs in fine dining? You have leather furniture, you have velvet furniture. What's going to happen? You're going to get covered everything in dust. And you have to use the elevator that those people ride in. It's not going to work. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. But we do know for sure, 100% for sure, there is a tunnel from the basement of the hotel under the highway over to the buildings across the way. So you could sneak over to other places without anybody seeing you. Now, down here was a barber shop. Hence the cigar room, so there was a barber shop down here where you could get a haircut, a shave, steam facial, shoulder massage. So now you're feeling good, looking good, probably smelling good, and you went over that tunnel to maybe another brothel and nobody would see you, especially if you were of prominence in your community, so nobody would see you go to a house of ill repute. Or if maybe your wife's upstairs having lunch, but you could sneak over there. So we know that this is the sealed up. Some people say this is where the baby went. I don't think so either. Because you can cheat on your wife, you run around on your wife, or you see other women. But a dead baby is another moral issue. Now you're talking a different story. And there's going to be somebody who says, I don't care where I was going. What is this?
Yeah.
And it's going to smell. Yeah. Well, nobody is smelling good and feeling good going to want to go past that smell.
Yeah.
So I think it's all a lie.
Yeah.
This now has been is sealed off. It's obviously sealed, but you can see the water. This is 8 feet deep. And so that's probably 2.5, 3 feet of water that's gotten down there because of the water that had come down in this basement. That's a water pump over there they've been working on and stuff. So that's why the openings are in the footing of this area, stuff like that. So that is one of the unsafe areas, etc. I had some people that were doing investigation here and everything. They had later on gone over, there used to be a gift shop or whatever across the street there. And that's where the tunnel comes to, you know, and they did an investigation over there, and there was a lot of bad things that went on in that basement over there back in the 20s and that. But one of the bad things is they were moonshining when it was illegal to have alcohol. So they were moonshining, renting booze, and a little girl came down and found them, so they killed her. She was like 7. And they killed her in the basement, and then they put rocks over a very, very shallow grave. It wasn't like they buried her somewhere. So she just disappeared essentially to her parents or whoever was, you know, but so they buried her under that basement. But when they were investigating, they had something communicating with them, and it said that it travels through the tunnel from the hotel and goes over there sometimes, and then comes over here sometimes. And so I think that there's probably a lot of spirits that do that. There's probably several men that are ghosts now that do that trip. They come, they go over to the ladies, and then they come over here come back to where, you know, whatever, probably. So it's probably a thing that you could have some down here more than others, you know, and maybe not, you know. And this is that hallway, that back hallway here. This is like I said, this is a creepy crawl space, etc. So, but from in here, do you guys know where your RV is parked from here?
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
See, it turns you around pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's right out here.
Okay, that's okay.
So if you came up to the front door, when you come up to the front door outside, there's purple tiles on each side. They're little square purple tiles.
Yeah.
We're on if you walked up to the front door, we would be on the right-hand side of that.
Okay.
And I'll go upstairs and show you. One of the things that you need to remember down here specifically, the basement ends there. The other parts of the hotel have another wing. This ends here.
Okay.
So this confuses your head.
Yeah.
Your head doesn't like that idea because this is the middle of the building where the stairs are.
Yeah.
So you have to remember that in order to remember where you are.
Yeah.
Because this is the middle of the building. This is the middle. So essentially the basement ends just past the middle. But your brain doesn't like that.
No.
You know, when I've had firefighters come here, they've automatically mapped in their mind, you know, a building because they can't see normally, you know. So they automatically map it, but most people don't, and most people get thoroughly confused. So we were just standing right here downstairs. We were standing here downstairs, and then those are the purple tiles.
Oh, there, yeah.
Okay, so that means the basement ends here.
Yeah.
This is the end of the basement.
Yeah.
So there's another wing without the basement.
Wow. Yeah.
So it confuses you.
Oh, really?
And it's confusing enough up here where you can have the whole building. But then you get down there and it's like,
where am I?
Yeah, then your brain doesn't like that.
Well, is that
so that's the majority of everything I could probably come to tell you.
Thank you so much. I think it was a really interesting start.
I think you're gonna have fun tonight.
Yeah.
I think they like you already. They're like, touchy.
Wow. Yeah. Ja, som ni förstår, alltså vilken tur. Vilken spännande byggnad. Alltså, man är inte tagen av det som händer.
Det här är det värsta behind, alltså när vi går runt så här inför.
Alltså, den beröringen är... Jag kan nästan säga, jag har aldrig känt en sån kraftig beröring. Och jag är helt 100 på att det är du.
Jo, men hon sa också att jag såg att det inte var jag för att jag stod
nej, och
jag såg hur du reagerade. Ja. Och jag vände mig för att jag tänkte att du ska avbryta henne. Men hon fortsatte prata. Så att det blev aldrig. Men,
nej,
och sen,
jag hade bara i tanken att jag skulle flytta på mig. Så att för att det kanske speglas i fönstret.
Nej.
Sjukt.
Och sen ställde jag mig och så fick jag den här pek i ryggen.
Du satt i den här sling med shotgun. What did the guy call?
The gunslinger.
Gunslinger, yeah. Som bara typ sätter som en pistol i ryggen på dig.
Förstår du? Oh my god, jag har inte ens tänkt på.
Nej, det är det som är så himla sjukt alltså.
Ja, utredningen börjar ju nu.
Den börjar ju, precis. Så att, men utredningen finns ju på kanalen, ni kan kolla på den. Hoppas den är riktigt spännande. Vi vet ju inte ännu, men ni har ju facit. Tack för att du kollade på den här innan utredningen. Så ses vi nästa gång.
Tack.